In Scandinavian languages, Good Friday can be expressed as Long Friday, and perhaps this is a better term to help us understand our emotions as the day passes. In taking communion of bread and wine on Maundy Thursday, we accepted the movement from an old way of living, in which we were trapped by our requirement to live by the law, to a new freedom in the love of God, to a new belonging. We move across the threshold of the door Jesus holds open. But first, Jesus has to open the door. He has to stand in front of us to protect us from all that we do wrong. Today, Long Friday, we remember how he did that. In rereading the accounts of his death, we are drawn into the minutes and seconds of each moment. We cross-reference them with our own and family's experiences, and we reflect. In faith, we understand that when Jesus stepped in to protect us from ourselves, he also set us free from the feeling we all have that we are never quite as good as we should be. As Christians, we have a strong sense of acceptance of ourselves as we are, with all the complex feelings that make us unique. This doesn't absolve us from trying to be better, but it does bring us peace while we try. There's no further reflection at the end of this video, only the silence of the grave until he rises again on Easter morning.
The crucifixion of Jesus. As the soldiers led him away, they seized Simon from Cyrene, who was on his way in from the country, and put the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. A large number of people followed him, including women who mourned and wailed for him. Jesus turned and said to them, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Weep for yourselves and your children. For the time will come when you will say, 'Blessed are the childless women, the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed.' Then they will say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.' For if people do these things when the tree is green, what will happen when it's dry?" 2 other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him there, along with the criminals, one on his right, the other on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. The people stood watching, and the rulers even sneered at him. They said, "He saved others. Let him save himself if he is God's Messiah, the chosen one." The soldiers also came up and mocked him. They offered him wine vinegar and said, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was a written notice above him which read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him. "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him. "Don't you fear God," he said, "since you are under the same sentence. We are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve, but this man has done nothing." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus answered him, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon, for the sun stopped shining, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Jesus called out with a loud voice, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." When he said this, he breathed his last. The centurion, seeing what had happened, praised God and said, "Surely this was a righteous man." When all the people who had gathered to witness this sight saw what took place, they beat their breasts and went away. But all who knew him, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance watching these things.